Hey. Whoop, whoop. We'll meet. Have you ever wondered what it's like to live with Tourette's? Or maybe you have Tourette's and you just want to enjoy the joy of shared experience? Welcome. Hey, I'm Luca, and on this channel I make weekly videos about what it's really like to live with Tourette's. Today I'm going to explain what tics feel like, or at least I'm going to try. It's 30 degrees inside my house right now, and I can't go outside because I'm waiting for a parcel, so I'm stuck in here. This is the most amount of clothes that I felt comfortable wearing right now. Forgive me. Today I'm going to try and explain what tics feel like. Of course, this is just my own experience. If you have Tourette's yourself and have a very different way of explaining this to people, I'm really interested in hearing that. So if you want to leave a comment below, hey, comment. Or, cockatoo, nee. Oh. Honestly, it's physically too hot to have tics right now, but it's not like Tourette's listens to that. Ooh, if there's one day I would just want to sit still, this is the one. Anyways, where was I? So yeah, I want to explain what tics feel like by comparing them to things that I think other people that don't have Tourette's also experience. So maybe that can provide a bit of insight into what it's like to live with this 24/7. So there are lots of these types of explanations out there, but I feel like some of them just kind of focus on one type of tic. So personally, I experience a lot of different types of tics. So of course there's the difference between motor tics and vocal tics. But even within those categories, there's still a big difference in how those tics feel, and they all have to do with to what degree I'm aware of them happening, when I'm aware of them happening, and if I experience any urges before. And that also influences how much energy it takes from me. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So these are my 3 categories of my tics. So yeah, I can roughly divide my tics into 3 categories. The first is just completely unaware. The second one is aware only when they already happened. And the third one is aware beforehand. So I know that they are going to happen. So for each of those categories, I've come up with some real life examples of things that people that don't have Tourette's might also experience. So you can kind of use those to maybe picture what it's like to live with Tourette's. Just amplify those things by 100. And that's what we live with every day. So let's start with the first category, completely unaware. So there are many tics that I have that I don't even notice that I'm doing it. It might sound weird, but you know, that's just how it is. Hey. So for example, the tics that I have in my hands are tics that are just constantly there, and I don't even notice that I'm doing them anymore. So I just constantly do this. I even have bruises on my hands from constantly doing this. I don't notice that I'm doing it. I would compare this type of tic to blinking. Hey. Everyone blinks. You're usually not aware that you're doing it unless you start thinking about it. You're thinking about it now, aren't you? Don't blink. Hey. And when you stop blinking, you start feeling this urge to blink. And you can, of course, train yourself not to blink. But the moment you stop thinking about how you're not supposed to blink, you start blinking again. Now, this is still a bit of a skewed comparison because, of course, if you completely stop blinking, that hurts your eyes. And I'm not hurting anything if I stop doing this with my hands. Another comparison would be if you have like a broken off tooth and you just keep touching it with your tongue and you keep doing it and keep doing it even though it hurts your tongue, but you just can't stop doing it. And then you become aware that you're doing that, so you try to stop and you kind of feel this urge building up. So you want to touch it again and then, but you know, you're not going to do that anymore because you're smart, you're an adult maybe. But then you watch TV, do anything else and you just go right back at it. That's kind of those types of motor tics that you're completely unaware of. Usually the vocal tics that I'm completely unaware of are coughing a bit. I think that many people have that, especially when you're starting to pay attention to it. You'll hear that many people will have like a little tic, for example, when they're doing a presentation, something like that. And hey, you're usually not aware of every time you scrape your throat. I just do it way more often. Hey! Now, when it comes to the tics that I'm very much unaware of, these are usually also the echolalia and echopraxia type of tics. So echolalia is mimicking sounds and echopraxia is mimicking movements. So sometimes when someone says a certain word, I'll just repeat it, but I won't even be aware that I'm doing it. Or when I see someone doing a certain hand movement, I'll copy that as well. And even though it looks a bit more out there when I do it, people that don't have Tourette's also do this. It's really funny when you start noticing that. So just look at a group of people. When one person starts scratching, you'll see other people doing that as well. Or when you're in a big office building or during a test and in one corner one person starts to cough and then you can hear this wave of coughs just emerging throughout the room and people aren't aware that they're doing it, but they just kind of echo the sounds that they hear. Hey. Okay, so first category out of the way. Second category. Tics that I'm aware of, but only when they happen. And those are the tics that you'll notice the most. Those are the ones that you're probably seeing the most right now. Those are tics that when I do them, I notice them because, you know, I can feel my head jerk or pop. Hey, when I shout something, I can hear it myself. But it's not that I knew it was going to happen until it was already happening. And these are usually the type of tics that people think of when they think about Tourette's. And I think that the analogy of blinking or coughing or the examples that you usually hear, they don't really fit with that. These are usually the things that people think about when they think about Tourette's and tics. And I would compare those to when you're sitting outside and a bug lands on your skin and you just automatically try to scare it off, or when you are spooked by someone, when you get scared by someone, or when you hurt yourself accidentally by grabbing a hot pan and you just throw it, or you curse. You weren't prepared for that movement. You noticed that you were doing it. So these are the type of tics that just overwhelm you. They just happen, and usually I don't really feel an urge to do them, and they are the ones that surprise me too. Hey, cockatoo. So sometimes I'll say whole words or sentences that I have no idea where they come from. I can't remember ever hearing them or thinking about them. They surprise me the most as well. And I wouldn't say that tics are fun or that Tourette's is fun, but I like these tics the most, mostly because they feel good. It's a weird thing to say, but they kind of feel good, apparently. I mean, that's what my neurologist says. When you have tics, you get a dopamine release in your brain, and you know, so that feels good. And these are the types of tics that just have that. Because they are less subtle than just the ones that I'm doing with my hands that I'm not even aware of. They're just kind of wearing out my hands. Hey. They just give me this little burst of, you know, it feels good. I like them. Hey. And because I don't have an urge before them, I don't feel as exhausted. I don't feel this need to hold them in because I can't. They just happen and then they're gone already. So I'm not as exhausted by those as the ones from the next category. I'm aware of them before they happen, and I have this big urge to tic. Hey, fuck off. So I would compare those tics more to intrusive thoughts, but linked to an action. So usually the thought starts to happen first, like when someone's doing a presentation, I will need to roll my eyes. I will feel the urge to roll my eyes before I actually do it, usually. So I'll be constantly trying to suppress that thought, that urge to move. And to compare this to a real life situation, I don't know if other people have this. If you do, let me know. Maybe this is just a very bad comparison. So, but have you ever been in public transport and sat opposite a complete stranger? You were just listening to music, something like that, and then you notice you were just staring at them the whole time, and you were like, oh. And you were like, oh no. So you try to look away and you feel this urge to keep looking at them, and you're just completely consumed by that idea to stare them in the face. It's kind of like that, but more, and it's... Hey. Okay, so my parcel actually arrived. Yay. So, where was I? Oh yeah, tics that you can feel coming up. So those are the types of tics that are happening mostly inside my head. So, and those are the ones that are most exhausting. Tourette's is a lot more than the thing you see on the outside. It's also what's happening inside your brain. And that's the part, at least to me, that makes it so exhausting, mentally exhausting. I would say that the tics that I'm not aware of are the most physically exhausting because they just keep happening, just the constant strain on my body. The ones that I am aware of and just constantly suppressing are the ones that are just mentally very exhausting. And so Tourette's is more than that middle portion of tics that just kind of come out and that are, that to me at least kind of feel okay. It's the ones on the outside of that range that make my life a lot harder. So yeah, there are many different types of tics. Of course, these three categories are just something I just made up, but it kind of worked with comparing them to these real life situations for people that maybe don't have Tourette. So I hope this helped. If you don't have Tourette's and you could relate to some of these real life situations, let me know, because then, I mean, I hope that this is a good analogy to use, but I'm not sure. I haven't tested this out in real life yet, so you're the first. Oh God, I'm embarrassing. It's too hot, okay? My brain doesn't work. Okay, I think this is this is enough for now. My parcel arrived. I'm gonna have a glass of wine in the park, read a book, something, anything. Get out of this house. So again, I make weekly videos mostly about Tourette's, also ADHD. So if you're interested in any of those topics, anything that I do, please consider subscribing. I'm still very, very new to this platform, so that will really help me. If you have any suggestions of things that I should talk about, please leave a comment, send me a message. So yeah, enjoy your day wherever you are. I hope to see you soon. I'm back next week, and okay, bye.